make sure it's blinking. You're perfect. You're good to go.
Oh,
You're already on. Nice and easy.
Okay.
All right. Spread out. Sierra, stay behind. Let's see what we got.
Don't walk too fast.
I'm trying not to put people in the parking lot. We're not supposed to have cameras and lasers out with people in the parking lot. I'll turn that one on too. We'll go in opposite directions with it.
Oh. Not picking up this one very good. I think it's the black pavement.
In the parking lot right there. We're not supposed to go towards cars.
Yeah. No, he said.
Stay away from the cars with
Yeah.
the lasers and the cameras.
Okay. All right, we'll move that way.
And it's really it's loose. So there's two little white buttons back there. The one, yep.
Oh, I need to stand back further, that's why.
So, nope. You want to click it into the device. You just hit the one on the outside, you want the one on the inside. There you go. Perfect. So, it's super bright. I know. That's why I say turn around.
Okay.
So your devices, your movements are going to actually make it go up. Every time you walk or take a step, it's going to make some kind of color that's going to make it go up.
Because anything that like gets close, yeah.
Right. So there's a way to reset it. On the right-hand side where your index finger is, there's 4 buttons. You want the one at the very bottom.
At the very bottom. So
Yep.
this one,
So it's easier to hold it in your right hand, and your thumb is there. Perfect.
So press
Yep. Press it to reset it. So every time it goes off, reset it. And a lot of times you hear me say, "Go ahead and reset it." It is super bright. It gets fresh batteries every day, just because batteries drain, and every device gets new batteries every day. But we don't want it to completely stop. So if you're walking and you get a little bit of a reading, you want to make sure you click it, and if you get the same reading, you're obviously just a bump that it did not come from your emotion. That thing is going to observe. Try to click it. So it's going to be very sensitive.
Oh, I like the lasers, man.
So again, this is why I work with you kind of one-on-one. So I'm going to see what's going on. So take 2 steps with me. So before off, click it. Reset it. Take 4 more steps. Okay. Try to keep it as still as possible. Always reset. Now, I want you to keep in mind that antenna.
Try not to trip over around your feet, too.
Yeah, me too.
Here, but not here, and vice versa.
oh, sorry, I don't understand.
Right. So, here's what's going on.
Oh, we got a car backing out.
So that way,
Watch out, Mom. You good, Mom?
Yeah. I don't know how to turn this thing off.
the S at the end of it.
Chump.
Should we be walking or should we be standing still more?
Weird.
If
It was
it's really, I mean, it's your tour. So if you guys
Okay.
want to walk and you know
That's
move slowly
fine. I was
together.
just curious.
Again, this isn't always in the moment type thing. This is always about the review. So again, with all of these people coming in and out of this lot, all of a sudden, like that large group that just came
Yeah.
through, like that's super weird. Like that's definitely cut the lasers off, give them a minute to get them
Yeah,
out of here so
we
we can
did.
move on.
We did.
So, but yeah, have
Okay.
some fun with it. I mean, it's your tour. Have some fun. Take selfies with it. I don't care.
Careful walking backwards, like
I'm
me.
not trying to walk you backwards.
No, I meant you.
I'm trying to rotate so I'm not having to make you walk as much.
Try over there. I definitely can see the green ones more than I can see the red ones.
No, I don't have the red ones on right now.
No, I can't see it over here. The red ones. Maybe it's because it's darker over in this area.
Possibly.
Oh, did they get something?
Yeah, it sounds like it.
She's not burned, so that's exciting. Very exciting.
No, not yeah. Like I keep hearing
Too close to cars.
Like it sounds like I heard murder. It might be. Yeah, I asked something and I got a response, but
You guys getting anything yet?
I mean, it's hard to tell with this. It's something he's going to have to look to
Right.
see if there's anything crossed over it.
Can you stand right here where this red dot is? Like this? Can you do this? Like I am? Can you do that?
I said don't go.
How about the green light? Can you go over to the green light?
I'll be able to just go along.
It looks like something. Maybe I'm just blinking. Hearing stuff?
They're all coming.
What?
The big bird. That might have said they're all coming.
Too many of us.
you gonna leave? You getting a reading? It's a good thing you got great looking legs.
Right around here.
Yeah. See, ours was all right here for a little while. Yeah, like I remember get bigger.
Now it's 8.
What was it before? 27.9.
That's when it was making that. That's why I was getting the lasers and you ran off.
You told me to tell them, so I was kind of going for it. They have a bad habit of doing that.
Again, the lasers are fun, especially when you're watching them through the cameras. So,
Not fun for me.
Not fun for you?
Not fun for me.
We can change.
You guys can switch things up.
This is probably the safest thing for me to hold.
Yeah, probably. Well, this one might have been.
Yeah.
Well, no, because you would have to look down while you're
I'm
walking.
going to do one more round robin and then I'll regroup you guys.
Oh, it's crystal.
It really is.
I'm very phone all the time, and
You're not tripping?
yes. I'm not tripped and hurt myself.
You better knock on wood.
How about Atwood? No, I knocked on Atwood.
I'm the one who falls down.
Lately you have, yeah. I think he's got a broken toe right now.
There's not a whole lot they can do about that except tape it.
Yeah, I know. That's why I didn't bother going to the doctor.
Just tape the toes together.
It's gotten a lot better. Happened like a week ago.
No, it happened to
It takes a long time.
Let's
As you get
regroup
older,
everybody.
it
Let's
takes
go back
longer.
to the back again.
The thing said high.
Oh, it's still behind?
I think so.
I didn't like it.
You want mine?
No.
Do you need to turn this off?
Yeah, so let's just go ahead and kill your video. It's just filming anybody specifically. A lot of the folks like to take the breaks right here. This is a quiet space, so again, we're not going to spend a lot of time here. But again, this is a very interesting space indeed. So let's go with names. What did we hear as far as names?
I heard Aaron.
Aaron.
It was all actually
Like,
we're not going to spend a lot of time.
She didn't get the
Eric.
spelling. Anybody else get names?
I thought you said Aaron. Aaron. Wait.
As soon as we started walking up this
Honey,
That's
you hear
actually
anything
relevant.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, Jules.
Like Jules Byrne? You said you heard something else. I don't see what was the other
And
thing.
teaspoon.
Also relevant. Forgot it? Okay, got it.
I definitely heard
I heard a lot of things about Michelle.
and it just said fall. I don't know if I'm going to spend a lot of time with fall.
So, what is this space? Yes.
I just have a quick question. Whenever you said that, the what's it called, the parking, whatever it's called, would mess with that thing, does that also apply here? Because I've been getting numbers.
How high?
In the fours and stuff like that.
It's standard. Normally anywhere between like 2 to 6 comes off the buildings.
Okay.
So last night we had a reading of 8. I wrote that one down. Anything else, I ignored.
All right.
And that includes Callie. You're probably going to get like the second or third dot on yours.
It does that a lot.
I've gotten a little flickers, but not much.
Yeah, you're not going to get much in here. We're actually going to mute yours in this space just because we're next to somebody's facility. So again, that's why we don't spend a lot of time here. Addiction. Let's talk about why bake and teaspoon are relevant. So let's get into the mess of why we're actually here. So this is Lodge Alley. When we crossed that last crosswalk coming down East Bay Street, where we were able to just keep going, that was where the original Charlestown walls used to be. So you are standing on one of the first streets we ever had in Charleston.
Wow.
So Charleston used to be called Charlestown, the walled city.
Right.
So
I remember that.
people used to live here. The two two buildings were leaned up against, they weren't here. Little tiny shotgun houses were. I have a full list of residents of every single person that's ever lived down here. It's not a lengthy list. When I say people lived here, I only mean like 2 to 6 people at a time. The names I commonly get are Benjamin and John. Doesn't sound like very, like, Nick, come on, those are pretty common names. Benjamin and John show up every 6 to 7 weeks. Unfortunately for you, in the loop that I keep track of, we're in week 1. So I'm not expecting Benjamin and John to come through. What's relevant about these folks? They both lived here in 1801. That's all I have. It keeps happening over and over and over again. Every once in a while, when I get those 2 names, I'll get a 3rd name. That name is Jane. That's a 3rd person out of 5 that lived here in 1801. Jane, Benjamin, John. If we're confused about which John it is, because yes, there were 4 different Johns that lived down here over a 60-year period. John will give us his last name. It is Johnson. Yes, his name was John Johnson.
John Johnson. I think
Wow.
He was John's son.
No, it was John.
So, with that, this is a very weird space. They did do an archaeological dig underneath our bricks that we're standing on. They found some of their silverware, like teaspoons. They found some of their tools. I think somebody heard the word tools earlier, if I'm not mistaken. So they found some of their clothing, and they classified these people as lower class people. It makes complete sense if you look at the geology around us. The other side of the wall would have been across the street of East Bay, opposite of where we were walking. The smell of low tide would be coming through here quite often. The rich of Charleston are not going to put up with the smell of low tide. If you've been down to the Battery, you've probably noticed that the houses are skinny in the front and they go long back. There's a couple of reasons for that. First off, they have piazzas on them, front porches with a door, right? So it looks like it's part of the house. That helps keep the smell of low tide from coming into the house. They open up the 2nd-story window and the cool air from the water comes in, cool air drops, heat rises. So it's old school air conditioning. The second reason, second reason is because the skinnier you were taxed on your house based on how much street side you took. The skinnier your house, the less taxes you pay. Now we just left the Pinckney Mansion site where I showed you it was broad. That makes sense as well. They had their indigo plants, their indigo farms, lots of plantations, and most of them were politicians. They probably didn't care about the taxes that they had to pay to show off their beautiful home. So again, that's why it stood broad against East Bay Street. The baker, or the bake piece, is very relevant. I don't see it too often down here, but there was a baker that lived down here by the name of Alexander. Yes, John Johnson and Alexander, common names, really. So, and then there was an Alex Calder that was also a baker down here. So, very interesting that we had the word bake show up. I am excited about that because that's not something I see very often. So maybe there's a whole nother loop going on. Here's why I think I keep getting the names on a loop. You're standing on Belgian blocks. These things are made straight from granite. You all seem like you're pretty hip to paranormal terms. You've heard the term limestone before. So limestone is said to stir up activity because it's straight from the earth. Granite is the same way. It's also straight from the earth, but it's stone. These bricks have been here for a couple of 100 years. They say if bricks stay in the same, or stones from the earth stay in the same place for long periods of time, they hang on to the consciousness of memories and then replay them back to us. They call it the stone tape theory. So with that said, I think this is the perfect example of a stone tape theory that I keep seeing every 6 to 7 weeks. Again, I cannot make this stuff up, and I didn't even come up with that like stone tape piece until I was studying it with my co-host on my podcast, like we were talking about it. I wonder if it's actually going on down at Lodge Alley. And she's like,
I'm sorry, you said you had a podcast?
that's how this got started, yes. I normally don't promote all those extra things during the tour.
What's the podcast name?
Same thing, Stories in the Cemetery. You're going to see it all tomorrow on the link. It's all on the website. So, again, we're not here to self-promote Nick, right? So we're here to actually go hunt. But with that, that's how I actually discovered, like, this is what's actually going on here because of these bricks. Before the people lived here, Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here, which is where the name comes from, Lodge Alley. So we do get terms wrapped around the Freemasons. No way.
Freemason symbols.
I'm excited. That's cool stuff.
That is cool.
Here's some of the terms that I normally get around the Freemasons. Obviously Mason, Freemason, bricks, and I hear the term Illuminati probably more often than I should. First off, who the hell is saying Illuminati on the radio? Second off, why am I only hearing it in this space? Again, and that's completely random. That is not part of the whole stone tape theory that I think is going on here. I think it's with the residents only. So again, the fact that you got symbols the minute I mentioned Freemasons, that is actually pretty kick-ass. Like, I'm pretty stoked about it. This is me excited,
really
everybody,
cool.
in case you guys
That
missed
is really cool.
So, I'm not the Zach Vegas one, like, oh my god. You know, like I'm not that guy at all. Like, so this is me excited about symbols showing up when I
That's why he won't watch it. He's like, all he can think of is Jim Carrey, overactor.
Yeah, pretty much. So,
Me and her both got 24.
I don't know what it is.
What's
I'm
the
gonna
guy
find out.
that
You both just got 24?
That's what he's talking about. Jack. Oh yes,
Jack Fagan's
because
and
we
Aaron.
like laughing at Aaron because they always like lock him in the morgue and stuff like that. Like you guys are so mean to him.
Let's
So
go.
here's-
Yeah, Ghost Adventures.
Oh,
Yeah.
those bad.
They locked him in a psychiatric room.
Oh,
It was
man, he
terrible.
lost
Yeah,
They love that guy
Aaron.
a lot. So here's what's going to happen from here.
Oh, that was
We are
cool.
going to go to another alley. However, I cannot take you through it. I've been kicked out.
We haven't been kicked out. I
Here's
just.
why I got kicked out.
Oh, no.
I have all of the gizmos and gadgets and all the, you know, the lights and the craziness. It is residential at the end. So we don't go through there simply because it is residential at the end, and it's not fair for my 10 people to try to work around the other Charleston tours that's got 20 people in there. So if there's 2 tours in there, we're allowed to go down halfway. The other half is residential. So again, it's not fair to them or us. However, me telling the story outside of the alley still gives us, like, it stirs things up. We will have activity going on with that alley through the rest of our time together because we're going to be relatively close to it. Remember how we got done in throats when we were at the Pinky Mansion site relative to Big John. It's going to be the same principle. So again, we're not going to do a long hike, but this is the next shortest piece that we're going to go to is that next alley. I will tell you why I got kicked out of it because that's the fun part of the story. So Brian's like, yeah, well, under that. So we are going to be cutting through a neighborhood to get there. So, which we are allowed to do. Video cameras will be shut off as we exit the alley. So I think you guys both know how to operate your cameras. Carol, you're doing a great job, by the way. Nice and
I think
still.
I just saw an orb come down.
Oh, we do get a lot of insects in here. So
Okay, it could be that too, but
But this is one of the spaces where I also capture legitimate orbs. So again, it's a lot of debunking. But yeah, you're good. You don't have to hit it again.
okay.
Oh,
It's
you hit
on.
it- yeah, you hit it back again.
Too many times.
Yep. There you go.
Okay.
Nope.
Nope.
Hold on. Like, no,
Am I hitting the right button? No, I got it now.
All right, we got this. All right, so that's Philadelphia Alley behind me. So we're not going anywhere. This guy actually likes
A
me.
pass.
What'd you get?
A pass.
A pest?
A pass.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Pass.
Tap. This particular tap.
Path.
P-A-T-H.
Yeah.
Got it. Yes, that would actually make more sense than pests.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would too, but we're definitely talking about an alley. So this place used to be called Dueler's Alley. We renamed it Philadelphia Alley after dueling became illegal and stupid, and we named it after a city that actually helped us out of one of our many, many fires that I mentioned earlier. So we all tell the story of the same duel, which is, I'm just going to tell it differently than what every other tour guide in town will tell it, because you're ghost hunting. You need different things out of the story versus just a ghost story and move on. So let's get into it. Who heard the word doctor earlier? That came out of one of y'all. So, and the number 7? Okay. Very weird that they both heard it in the same space because both of those things are relevant here. There's a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Joseph Brown Ladd. His birthday is July 7th, 7/7. So, just like to point that out because the number 7 usually shows up from here going forward. And it's relative to 3 different areas of this basic street corner. So I need to know how many times it shows up and what other keyword shows up around it. If we hear it twice, it's obviously relevant to the doctor. But again, Joseph Brown Ladd was his name. He moves down here because his fiancee Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents.
Either of them young?
They're both young. Vague, but we'll take it. I'd rather have a specific age. But anyway, Amanda has an attorney helping her out with all of this cash from her inheritance. The attorney thinks the doctor is just after her money, so he tells her, get rid of the doctor. To prove that the doctor's not just after her cash, he moves to Charleston. The coachman that brings him into town sets him up to be robbed and killed. This guy just graduated med school. It looks like he's got some money. He's got some nice clothes on, so we're going to set him up. Somebody walking by sees what's going on. His name is Ralph Isaacs. I'm going to stop on Ralph for a second because Ralph actually has the same initials as where the doctor came from. Rhode Island, Ralph Isaacs. R.I. shows up here a lot. So I just gave you the 2 main characters. I always need a secondary clue so I know who it belongs to. But anyway, Ralph says, dude, you don't want to stay here. He didn't really say dude because it's the late 1700s. He said, you don't want to stay here because there's a gunman inside. He's going to try to take all your cash, but I have some friends at 59 Church Street where you can rent a room from and you'll be safe. So the doctor takes him up on the offer at 59 Church Street, and the two become friends. So the doctor's practice begins to take off. He's making his own money now. Amanda's moving down with him. He becomes known as the whistling doctor. I'm going to put this cliche to rest for you. Every haunted city you will ever visit in the future has a haunted whistling ghost of some sort. Ours just happens to be a doctor. Let's go with it. So, with that said, the doctor and Ralph go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money than Ralph. The doctor gets better seats. So they talk about these plays on the way home. We got some people walking by, Carol, so they talk about the plays on the way home. One night they go see William III from Shakespeare, and they start arguing over the new actress that was in town. The doctor thought she was fantastic. Ralph, not so much. So they start arguing, and then Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiance, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. It obviously gets very ugly, and they go their separate ways. So, with that said, Ralph has friends. He's from here, so he has friends at the newspaper. He goes to see his friends at the newspaper and puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. The doctor sees the ad, of course, because it's in the public newspaper, and they rebuttals with, let's go to Jeweler's Alley. We're going to settle this. So they come down, they take their 10 paces, they go. The doctor turns, he points his gun in the air, and he shoots. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted to prove a point that he had the courage and bravery to show up to the fight. Ralph has his one shot, sorry Brian, puts it in the kneecap on the doctor, so the doctor doesn't die either. But Ralph proved his point. He's still mad. His friends pick him up. They carry him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. You have to remember, he's a doctor. He probably tried to bleed it out himself. So, that's the end of that story, but here's the ghost portion of it. They say as you walk through this alley behind me, you can hear the whistles from the doctor. If you happen to go down there again, and you want to try your voice recorders to see if you get any whistles, I want you to keep in mind that every local knows the story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street on the other side is going to throw a whistle down the alley. I do it every single night on my way back to my garage. We're going to stop up there. My garage is above that little convenience store right there. So when my daughter's on the tour, we race to see who's going to throw the whistle first. But I can talk and whistle at the same time, so I can keep going. She doesn't understand that. She's been trying that for 2 years now, and she's been coming to the tours. So again, it's a lot of fun to mess with her, but again, I do it because I've been booted out. So I say we get right into why I've been booted out of here. What do you say? That's the fun part, right?
Yeah, I would really love to know this if I'm being honest.
So, it's residential at the end, like I said. A couple of beautiful mansions down at the end of this. This alley didn't always come all the way through. It actually didn't come through to this side, which means that the bricks on the other side are older. So, yeah, I used to show off those bricks because they're sun-dried bricks from slave children. We have a full handprint from a slave child and a couple of fingerprint swipes in those bricks. Well, it's not a great piece of art history, but it does show how far we've come. That's why I used to point it out. However, I treat that brick the same way I do a grave. That poor kid is not staring at that damn brick in the afterlife. But everybody wants to put an EMF meter near it, or a spirit box, and try to do some kind of whatever to try to make contact. November 26th of 2020, a group just like this, they tried to do the exact same thing, right outside that brick, and it was right outside a gentleman's dining room window. He was not happy with me. He come out of his house basically screaming at me, asking what company do I work for, the whole nine. My daughter thought it was great because Dad's getting yelled at. So,
Just because you were born in
it's residential. It's residential.
Yes, totally private property.
So I played the new guy card, and I said, sorry, I won't be back. However, November 27th of that year was Thanksgiving. I was the new guy in the block, and I can take holidays off now. I worked retail for over 20 years. I never had a holiday off, so I finally took one. November 28th, I got a phone call from the tourism office asking me to either reroute my tour or go down halfway like everybody else. I decide I'm going to reroute. I'm not going to put my group through trying to stay in half the alley around what I just told you guys. So, I don't know much about that story before we get into it, and it was a matter of, I don't like pirates. Pirates are not my thing. I'm a vampire guy through and through, and I didn't believe the story up there to begin with. However, I tell my team, we're going to wing it. We're going to see what happens. Tickets were much cheaper back then. So, if you get anything, I will be excited. That means something else is probably going off. The closer you get to the corners, and those bushes in the front, the more of the likelihood you're going to get a false positive because of the parking meters on the other side and the two electrical poles in the corners. So spirit boxes, it's all about you again. Spirit boxes are always all the time. Cameras, if when you're done up the front, if you want to check to see if there's no tours by the cemetery and you want to go get us some footage, go. Spend a few minutes. The only thing I ask with either end is don't get in the other way of other tours. I'm actually going to go chill on the wall over there and smoke and wait for you guys to tell me all the shit you're catching. You guys paid me to go to work. Let's do this.
All right, you ready?
The other way of the other
You want to go to the front?
Oh yeah?
Yep.
Where we're going?
You
Yep.
can. Again, you're on your own at this point. I'm going to chill at the wall and pull everybody in when it's...
So wait, what?
It's fine. I'm turning it back on. Okay, go out. Hang on.
Yeah. Don't walk into the pole.
Once you go first, I got it laid in front of you.
Yeah, it is. Has. The wood probably totally deteriorated over the years. Can you imagine trying to put those bricks up 26 inches deep? I mean,
They have to use some kind of lever system to get those moved around.
yeah, they
Or
have
some
to.
really big guys.
Yeah. You want to change?
Not really. Press the button and point. Can't do too much damage if I drop it either.
No, that's true.
I heard jump. Tell my therapist. I heard it.
The White House? I had like a 75% conversion and they show up in years. Like they will tell me flat out, I was expecting it tonight. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
This was really cool stuff.
Yeah. Well, I know, like, his brother, my brother-in-law and his wife, they've actually had to do sage and stuff in their apartments and everything because they have a lot of it, which I think follows her brother around.
I look at it this way. How many assholes do you actually run into? pick one day besides driving, because everybody's an asshole, right? So, but like honestly, I run into like maybe one or two actual jerks who I see like know more about you. Used to be people.
Yeah.
So again, I can attach it to history.
That is weird.
Sorry. Pardon us. I don't remember very where.
Sounds like he's like,
Really stuck.
cool though, huh? Yeah.
Interesting that he picked up an apparition, but the likelihood that you'll find that now
Yeah.
is too commercialized,
Yeah.
and they got a light in there so that they won't pick it up anymore.
Yeah.
See purple again, and or Mary or Jack.
And then I just got like 11, right? Like
Yeah.
11.
That was cool. We need
Oh,
purple.
I don't want to be in the way.
You can, baby.
Yeah, she's got more activity than I am.
Yeah, hers is more accurate too.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy stuff.
Cool.
Very
Cool.
Yeah, and we have Jack.
And
so
we have Jack.
I'm pretty stoked about that. Alright, so if there's no other crazy readings, post all the evidence. It's going to be at the top of your data page, plus all of the links to my fiction work and all of that mess. Only because some of you guys were asking about it. Again, I don't do self-promotion unless somebody asks what my real job is, which I find absolutely hysterical. So, a lot of times people will meet up with me and like, so what do you do during the daytime? I'm like, I write books about death. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, I own this company. Like, this is my everyday life.
Future.
So, wow, that thing is amazing tonight. We did get the name Jack on there in case you guys all missed that. Like, that's pretty exciting stuff too.